follow me to the garbage chute so I can show you that I can throw garbage. That line kind of sounds so weird. Hey guys, it's Jade. So for the past week, I've been playing this very popular game called Among Us, and I know a lot of you guys out there have already been playing this game, and I know some of you guys heard of it, but if you haven't, let me tell you this, it's a very addicting game. Now, if you never heard of it or don't know what Among Us is, it's an online game where you can join in a game server where there can be a maximum of 10 people, I think, and those 10 people are crewmates. But within those 10 people, 1 to 3 of them can be imposters. Now, if you are a crewmate, your main job is to finish tasks, you gotta report bodies, and you also have to figure out who the imposters are. And if you are the imposters, your main task is that you have to blend in by doing your fake tasks, you have to sabotage, and you also have to kill. Mainly sabotage and kill. And one thing to keep in mind in the game is that there is an emergency meeting button, and if you press it, everyone gets gathered into the discussion meeting. And that button comes in handy, especially if you happen to see someone vent, and only imposters can vent. Or if you see an imposter kill someone, you better run for your life to that emergency meeting button and convince everyone that you are telling the truth, that you saw it happen. Because a lot of the time, when you press the button and you say someone vented or someone killed, if they are not the type of person who says, "Ah, dang it, that was my mistake." If they're the type of person that convinces back, like, "Hey, no, I saw you do it and you were trying to run to the emergency meeting button so I didn't have to press it. It's actually you." Convince for your life that you are telling the truth, that you saw the imposter. But if you are the imposter, convince for your life that they are telling a lie, even though they completely aren't. Now, there are a couple ways to win this game. If you are a crewmate, all of your fellow crewmates have to finish their task before everyone gets killed, or you have to vote successfully all the imposters out of the game. And if you are the imposter, some of the ways that you can win is you either kill all the crewmates, or you successfully convince everyone to vote off someone innocent. This game overall kind of reminds me of Clue, or like this whole whodunit situation where you have to like watch everyone and you have to gather evidence based on what everyone says and like pray to God that they are telling the truth. And overall, just try to find who the imposters are. So in the game, you can be one of 2 characters. You can be a crewmate or the imposter. Now, difficulties come with both kind of characters, but if you are a crewmate, main job you always have to focus on is just doing your tasks, because that will help you get closer to winning the game. But the difficulty is you don't know who the other crewmates are and you don't know who the imposters are, so you're like going in blind. But I tried different strategies to kind of keep me alive or try to show people that I'm a crewmate. One is I try to stay in a pack, because if I'm in a pack and I'm just following around people and doing tasks with other people and they see me, then if someone died in a room away, I got an alibi with everyone else. But there is that unfortunate event where you happen to follow a group of people and they happen to be the imposter and they all kill you, which absolutely sucks. Another strategy that I've tried is I go about it alone and just do everything by myself and avoid people as much as possible. But people start to think you're very suspicious, because they're like, "Why are you by yourself? I only see you running around. You're always there. What are you doing by yourself? Where were you?" All that kind of stuff. And it's kind of like, no one can vouch for you, and you really gotta be so convincing that you are not an imposter. But one thing as a crewmate that is a saving grace are visual tasks. Now, within the task, a lot of them are either common tasks, individual kind of tasks, but some of them are visual tasks. And these visual tasks, when you do them, something else happens outside to kind of show that you were actually doing it. A lot of the ones that I've done is like the med-based scan, which is quite popular, because it's like, I think it's like the cutest thing ever. But also that's like the one thing I always hear someone say, like, "Hey, watch me go to the med bay so I can scan and you can see I'm a crewmate." But also I've done like they clearing out the garbage chutes where they like shoot garbage out into space. But those are kind of those visual tasks that you kind of need in a discussion meeting when you're trying to convince people that you aren't the imposter. Because if they're like, "Hey, you're kind of suspicious," say like, "Okay, don't vote me off yet. I can prove to you that I'm a crewmate. Just like follow me to the med bay so I can scan, or follow me to the garbage chute so I can show you that I can throw garbage." That line kind of sounds so weird. But those visual tasks are sometimes a saving grace. Though, one problem with it is if you happen to have someone follow you to the visual task, when you do it, they happen to be an imposter and they kill you there, it kind of is like, dang it, I kind of wasted that. That's no fun. And another thing that I do a lot actually is check the security cameras. Because if you're watching in the security cameras, you can't see in the rooms individually, but you can see the hallways. And you can kind of like remember who went into what room with someone and remember who came out and who was dead in there. And that's like a whole kind of like, you gotta really remember who went where. Or you can get that one very lucky time where someone pops up from a vent in the hallway and you gotta dash for your life to that emergency button and say, hey, I saw that person vent or I saw that person kill. But of course, there's a problem that comes in with the security, which is if you happen to be in a security room and then there's a vent and you're looking in the security cameras, the imposter can come up from behind you and kill you off, and that absolutely sucks. Now, one main difficulty being a crewmate, other than trying to survive, is when you're doing a task, the task screen pops up and you can only see the task. You can't see anyone else around you. So if you happen to be like in a place where there's a vent and an imposter comes in with another person and they kill the person and the imposter happens to report that dead person that they killed, he can say, I saw that person standing over the dead body, they didn't report it, and people will be like, oh, you gotta vote that person off. And it sucks because they're just trying to frame you. And that's happened to me so many times. And I'm like, I didn't even see the body. I was doing a task. Along with reporting bodies, you can report a body if you're an imposter or a crewmate. But one risk about it is that sometimes there will be that one person that yells, that was a self-report. And usually the person that yells that is the imposter themselves. So it's like very hard to report a body. I personally hate running into dead bodies because when I do it, I tell them where they are, but no one else was around, so they're like, self-report, and I'm like, no, that's not it. But you know, it's a losing situation. The only time you'll actually win is if someone said, hey, I actually saw them do a visual task, so they're safe. That will save you. But a lot of the time, if they haven't seen you do your visual task, then they're like, you gotta vote, we're voting you out. Now, if you're not a crewmate, then you're an imposter. And if you're an imposter, your main goal is to sabotage and kill. And the sabotage part is the easiest part because that kind of just allows you to cause crises to happen, or you can close and lock people in. But the killing is a little harder. And I've tried different strategies to successfully be an imposter, and I'm still trying to work it out because I'm quite bad. I always somehow get caught because I'm not thinking of the right hallway where people can see in the security cameras. Or I just happen to kill someone right in front of another person and then I gotta try to chase them down. But then I'm very slow. I run into walls all the time and it sucks. But some strategies that I've tried is the basic, lock them in by sabotaging and then kill them and then vent out. But then the possibility of someone seeing you with that person in that room kind of sucks, and you're kind of just like, you can't say anything other than adios. Another thing I've tried is killing and then staying in the vent, because you can stay in the vent. The only problem with that is if you want to come out, if you want to stay in there, your kill cooldown doesn't move at all until you come out of the vent. But then if you're in the vent for too long and people start getting suspicious, they're like, where the heck is this person? I haven't seen them running around. Then they're kind of like, yeah, you're kind of sus, whatever color you are or whatever your name is in the game. We're gonna vote you out just in case. And then they just happen to be right and you're like, gosh, dang it. And another thing is, if you try to tell them what room you are in, saying like, oh, I was in navigation, and just someone happened to be in navigation as well, they would be like, no you weren't, I was there and you weren't there. And that kind of kills your soul inside a little bit because you tried your best to lie and it didn't work out. Another thing that I've tried, which half of the time works, and maybe it works for someone a lot of the time, but maybe I'm just doing it wrong, is I start a crisis, and when you do a crisis, then a lot of the people come together to try to fix it. And since they're all gathered together, they're like stacked on top of one another and you can't really see who's who. So if you kill someone in the middle of it, then the report sign comes up, but you didn't actually see who did it. So you might get lucky with that. But if you're me, you somehow get in a wonky position where you kill them and it was actually quite obvious that you did it, and then they vote you out. And that is the worst because I try to be sneaky, but it doesn't work out, and I want to be sneaky. I want to one day be a very good imposter. but I just panic a little too much. A lot of the other difficulties being an imposter is that people travel in groups. They literally go as a pair or as like a triplet, and they kind of like just go around together. So it's so hard to sometimes find someone by themselves and kill them off, and then not happen to run into someone as you're running away from the body. It's also really hard to try to follow someone without looking suspicious, because if you follow them for like a minute or so, they'd be like, I'm gonna hit this emergency button and tell everyone that you've been following me for the longest time. Stop following me, you stalker. Also, I think I have this problem a lot more than a lot of other people, but when I vent, sometimes I accidentally vent into a room where someone else is coming in or someone was already there and I didn't see them, and then they'd kind of just see me and I'm looking at them, and then they try to dash and I try to run after them to kill them before they tell everyone else in the emergency meeting. But yeah, that's a problem I have a lot of the time being an imposter. Now if you're watching this video and you haven't played Among Us and you're kind of just like, why on earth should I play it? Why should I care whether or not I should play this game? Well, let me tell you some of the things that I actually personally enjoy about the game. One, when you die, that does not mean it's over. Whether you are an imposter or you are a crewmate, it doesn't matter, because if you die as a crewmate, you can still finish your tasks, so which it keeps you busy, so you're not just like waiting for the game to be over. But also, if you are an imposter, you can still sabotage like crazy. I know for sure that being an imposter dead for me is a lot easier than being alive, because I don't have to kill anyone. I can just sabotage everything and start crises everywhere. Also, one thing that I absolutely love about this game is that during the game, if you're alive, the chat is completely closed, and the only time you chat is during the discussions if a body was reported or someone calls an emergency meeting. But if you are dead, then you can just chat all the time, because only dead people can see your chats. And I always find myself laughing when I'm dead and I'm like chatting away while everyone's having a discussion meeting alive. And it's like kind of like a soap opera where you're yelling at the TV of like, someone said it was yellow and it was yellow, and someone's like, no, it wasn't. And you're like, no, listen to that one person, it was yellow. And no one can actually hear you, and I just find that ridiculous, because it's like I'm talking to myself. Also, when I joined Among Us, I didn't realize how many anime lovers are in this game, because I joined in a lot of these haiku or like anime kind of gamer servers, because when you host your own game, the username that you have becomes the game server title. So when I go in, I sometimes go in as a haiku character, so I go as like Hinata Shoyo or like Hinata Sho, because there's a character limit. But when I go in as a Hinata, I kind of see that there's a Kageyama or a Sugawara or a Tendo, and I go in those, and then there's a bunch of other people who are named after haiku characters, and when you chat with them in the waiting room, a lot of the time they're in character, and I find it so funny, because a lot of the time when I go into like a haiku chat as Hinata, the first thing everyone comes up to me and says is Hinata Boke, or like Boke Hinata Boke. That's like the greeting now. It's so funny. Also, the characters in the game are absolutely adorable. They are like the cutest little astronaut looking things. But when they kill you, even though they're still cute, it's actually quite brutal, which I love. It's like kind of messed up in a way. Another thing is you can communicate with friends in real life and join in a game together, because you can join in games specifically if you know the code. So a lot of the time when I play with my friends, we kind of like to keep the game fair, so we don't tell each other whether or not we are crewmates or if we're imposters. The only time we actually talk about it is if we're all dead, which kind of proves that we're all crewmates. But my friends are the type of people that if they're the imposters, they're coming after me first. Or if I'm the imposter, I'm coming after them first. And they wouldn't even know it. And that's a lovely way to keep the game fair. And it's also very funny to see their reaction. But I know a lot of the time people don't like it, because if you're sticking with someone, then you know for sure that they're a crewmate, and it kind of makes it unfair in a way, especially if one person is an imposter and then the other two are crewmates, depending on how many people are on a call. And if they die, then they try their best to tell everyone like, hey, I was in a call with them and they are the imposter. Which kind of ruins the game in general, because you're like, the whole point of it is trying to figure it out, not end it so quickly. And people are kind of smart on telling whether or not you're in a call, because if you stick to someone so closely in the game, a lot of the time they'll be like, "You're on a call, aren't you? You cheaters." And no one really likes a cheater. But if you're like me and my friends, we kind of just play it fair. We just like to be on the call together to see each other's reaction when they kill each other. Playing with friends is always a fun way to enjoy Among Us. Also, I found it so adorable, just like in Animal Crossing, where the universal spastic runaround means follow me. It is adorable. It's like so funny too. It kind of looks like someone's gone crazy. But when someone is like running around in circles and like coming, like leading off and then coming back and running around in circles, follow them. But then there is a risk that they might be an imposter trying to lure you in, but you know, take the risk if you want. Overall, what I love about the game is that it keeps you on edge, because if you're the imposter, if you're not really good at an imposter like me, you're like sweating like crazy trying to figure out how to kill someone, and you like panic and then you accidentally kill someone in front of another person. But if you're a crewmate, you're always watching your back, you're always trying to figure out who is who, and you have to trust people and what they say, but they could be lying to you. But I just love the whole suspense, and you're on edge the entire time because it keeps it a lot more interesting. I'm definitely going to continue playing this game. It's so fun to play, especially with friends. If you like the whole whodunit situation, or even if you like Clue, definitely check out Among Us.